Yeah, yeah, good afternoon or good morning. Jeremy Nathan here. And Michael Harris. He will be your instructor today, talking about AWS discussion here. So you're welcome to ask him any questions you have. The presentation will also be uploaded to the YouTube after this. So welcome everyone from Eventbrite and the Chattanooga Meetup Group. Happy to have you all here. And yeah, you all are welcome to put in the chat kind of the reason that brought you here. And yeah, Michael, I'll let you introduce. So basically, again, my name is Jeremy Nathan. I work with JN Training of Chattanooga. And thanks again for joining this event. Hope you all join other events. Just put in the chat other topics you'd like to learn. And again, what brought you here to the AWS discussion. And yeah, Michael, go ahead and take away. Let you introduce yourself here.
So, good morning, everybody. I'm Michael Harris. I've been in the cloud field for about 4 years now. I'm not as smart as Jeremy. I'm still developing my experience and stuff like that. So I come from a military background. Um, I've, I've did a lot of technical stuff in the military as well. So I do have that upbringing and professional experience. Worked on a lot of radio, computer, satellite systems, and I basically worked on securing stuff. So um, I basically have a cloud security background. You hear people say that sometimes. Um, I've also worked as a consultant, and as basically defensive way of saying hacker. Um, it's pretty cool, but now I'm working more as a cloud security architect, kind of being cross. I'm also doing cloud engineer work as well. It's a big difference, but I basically sit down with application owners now and help them pretty much build or deploy their applications to the cloud. So that's pretty much what I do. Uh, any questions so far? I'm also out in Dallas. I'm local to Dallas, so.
Yeah, we just Eno posted in the chat that he's an MIS student at Temple University, and thank you, Eno, and found it through the Pro Point system, and is interested in web development and AWS. So, Eno, would you like to tell us what particularly interests you in AWS, or what kind of career goals you have?
Well, hello everyone. So I actually recently switched my major to management information system, and I realized that I'm very interested in web programming or applications programming. And I'm still very new to the topic, but that's why I thought attending this meeting would be like a good start for me so I can learn more. I know that Amazon does a lot with their web services, and also like I wanted to see if there is ways that you can utilize Amazon to even like make more money or like help your business in the future and so on.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Um, and I think that's across most cloud providers. You could pretty much optimize your applications or business by adopting cloud technology because they have. I know Amazon. They have like over 100 services that you could use. It's insane. It's like an umbrella. Like everything just spirals out. They have a lot of services, and I'll be here teaching you guys and giving you a brief overview of AWS's services that they offer and their different pricing models and I guess trendy careers that you could venture off into. But uh, but there's definitely something out there for application development programming.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. And also, Clifton has a message in the chat where he is currently an area manager at Amazon. I'm assuming at a warehouse, and he'd like to make the transition from the FC to AWS, and do you have any advice on how he could do that, how he can network inside of Amazon to possibly get into AWS with the company?
And that's a good question, and I wish I had the answer. I actually used to. Fun fact: I actually used to work for Amazon delivery when I first moved to Dallas, and I actually hated it. It was terrible. I made like 300 stops a day in the summertime, so it was very hot and stuff like that. So, um, but I know Amazon. They do have like this process you can follow to talk to people within Amazon AWS. You can basically talk to them and get referred for training or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, but I know there's some kind of process that you can go by. But I know for me, um, my route was kind of different. I used my military funding to take up a hacking boot camp. That's how I pretty much started out, by taking a hacking boot camp, got a few certifications, um, and then I just went on from there and eventually branched off into cloud computing. But certifications aren't always the answer. They just they kind of help knock down the door for most beginners if you're trying to enter the career field. So, but if you want to get started on AWS, I highly suggest you look at certifications like the AWS Solutions Architect Associate, um, or if you just want to test the waters, you can try out the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, and that's it's kind of it's beginner friendly. It's pretty much getting you familiar with all AWS's services that they offer and things like that. You can try that out and see how you like it. I think it's like $100 to take that test though. So, but but I can answer more questions towards the end. Let me get this presentation started. Sorry about that, Jeremy. Let's see.
Oh yeah, take your time. It's fine.
Give me 1 second while I pull everything up. Let me know if everybody can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see it. Thanks.
Okay, so let's get started. So here we have AWS, Amazon Web Services. So we basically want to understand what cloud computing is before we ask what AWS is. And cloud computing is basically the delivery of online services. And you have you have software, databases, servers, uh, things like that. And basically, with the help of cloud computing, storing data on local machines isn't required. So it helps you access data from like remote servers, and it could be you can access data from anywhere across the world pretty much. So uh, hope I explained that well for you. So now So now we get to AWS. So AWS, Amazon Web Services, is a highly available, secure services platform. And like I was saying to, I forgot his name. I'm sorry. Like I was saying earlier, they provide so many different services to so many different businesses. So out there, you have companies like Twitter using AWS, LinkedIn, Facebook, McDonald's, even uh, BMW. There's so many different companies that utilize AWS to optimize their business. So and a lot of companies they're drawn to AWS's pricing model. So it's pay as you go, meaning you only pay for what you use for the most part. If you don't know what you're doing, AWS can become super expensive. So so yeah, that's why a lot of companies are drawn to AWS is because of their pricing model, and they just have a plethora of different applications and services that you could use. And yeah, so why AWS? People love saving money. People love saving money, and people love user friendly. I would say, in my experience, utilizing AWS, um, I'm a bit. It takes me a minute to get concepts. So um, I would say AWS they have a well documented platform. Like their platform is well documented. Like if you don't know how to do something, you can easily find out because it's so well documented. And there's so many people teaching AWS and things like that. So um, it's not bad at all. It's pretty user friendly for beginners and stuff like that. So uh, let's see here, scrolling through my notes. I'm sorry. But yeah, AWS is very cost effective. It offers billing and management for centralized sectors. So you can do all of that stuff with a few clicks. So they don't make it too difficult. You also have like trusted advisors, people who pretty much help you with cost management, or like if you could optimize or save memory space, like different things like that. They have people who pretty much help you out anywhere you could save. And there's also, with cloud computing in general, there's no need to pay extra money on or upfront costs on running data centers. So data servers, sorry. Does anybody have any questions right now? I can't see the chat. I hope it's making sense so far.
Yeah, well, I see a question maybe from a little earlier is why Kang asks in his home country in Cambodia, he wants to know why AWS is so reliable across the world.
That's a good question. It's all about, and it's a long question too. They're like it's all about the way that they design their their platform to be highly available. Uh, they spread like a virus over the world. Like if something goes down here, it's gonna be up in this location. They uh, they design things to be highly available, so that ultimately contributes to their success and being super fast and durable. So, but yeah, they're like AWS is all over the world. So, and like I said, if something goes down, they have a backup every time. So, I hope that answers your question. Okay, so let me go on with the presentation. So, like I was mentioning earlier, AWS has so many different services, and you'll as you start to learn, people who decide to learn AWS, you'll hear so many buzzwords that you have to get familiar with. You'll hear compute storage networking. So you have that, and under compute storage and networking, you have so many so many different services that AWS uses. So today I'll be going over compute storage networking and maybe about three services each. So just kind of bear with me as I briefly go over the services of AWS for compute storage and networking. So AWS compute, you have Amazon EC2, which is a very popular service that Amazon uses. So you'll see that floating around a lot. You have Amazon Elastic Beanstalk, Amazon Lightsail, and Amazon Lambda. So this is the compute section. So we'll start with Amazon EC2. Amazon EC2, it stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. Uh, and this cloud, it allows organizations to develop and deploy applications faster without needing to invest in hardware up front. And that comes in play. It's pretty beneficial because you can save loads of money. And like I was saying earlier, people love saving money. So users can pretty much launch virtual servers and configure security and networking, just by the click of a button. So I've done it plenty of times. And like I said, it's user friendly. And just so I can reiterate, you don't require any hardware. It's easily scalable up and down, meaning you could increase your compute power or decrease your compute power pretty quickly. So you only pay for what you use, uh, and you also have complete control over your EC2 instance. I kind of think of the EC2 instance as a virtual machine, a VM. So it's also highly secure, and you can access your assets from anywhere in the world. Any questions so far? All right, moving on. So the next compute service we have is AWS Lambda. So with AWS Lambda, it allows you to pay only for your compute time. So you don't have to provision and manage servers. And when I say provision, you'll see that buzzword a lot in AWS, and it basically means create, provision, create, or configure. So Lambda, it executes code only when required and it scales automatically. So it can handle like a few requests a day all the way to thousands of requests. So And I think your first 1 million lines of code are free. So you're saving money with AWS Lambda. So, and it's response driven. So something triggers AWS Lambda, and it can carry out a task for you or something of that nature. Does that make sense to anybody?
Michael, I think Eno has his hand up. He has a question.
Okay.
Well, you kind of answered it, Jeremy. I was just looking at the link you said, but I was just wondering, like, as we were talking about Amazon EC2, if we could also give like a real life example. So you can say, so for example, Starbucks use Amazon EC2 with doing this, and that. I think that would be helpful to me at least to kind of like really absorb the information.
Okay. I got you. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm guessing like if you wanted to with Amazon EC2, if you wanted to, I guess, have your own database, create your own database, you can pretty much use EC2 if the database isn't already supported by AWS. Like you have some databases like that are SQL, and you have some databases that are NoSQL, and these are basically just the types of databases uh, out there in the world. But you can basically use EC2 to spin up a database if you need to use it for one to store information. If that makes sense, because
So
EC2 is
Michael, oh, sorry to
yeah.
interrupt. Well, ZC2, is it like a storage container or virtual machine, I guess? What kind of
Yes, it's
can you
more like
explain?
that's how I think of it. It's more like a virtual machine. So so in IT you could use a virtual machine to do a different number of things. Like it's basically a virtual computer on your computer, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question or make it better? I'm sorry if I made it complicated.
No, it did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. So let's see. Okay, so now we're moving on to Amazon Elastic Beanstalk, another service. And there's one more compute service right after this one. So Amazon Elastic Beanstalk, it basically helps to scale and deploy web applications made with different programming languages. Like you have Java, Python, Ruby, things like that. So Elastic Beanstalk handles the deployment of the code as soon as it's uploaded. So in short, it's pretty much saying that you could you can launch and deploy resources within AWS by using Elastic Beanstalk. I know someone had a question about applications earlier. Elastic Beanstalk helps with all sorts of things like that. So it comes in handy pretty good. So it pretty much automates the launching of resources. Okay, so now on to Amazon Lightsail. So with Amazon Lightsail, it pretty much enables a virtual private server to be launched and managed with ease. So it includes everything needed by the developers, programmers who want to start their projects quickly on a virtual machine. So, so that's Amazon Lightsail. And on to the next slide. And guys, there's so much to these services. Like, it's a very huge umbrella effect. So, and many of these services are kind of intertwined, connected to each other, uh, and you'll see that going through different courses and learning about AWS is that everything's like intertwined and is like an umbrella effect. So now we're on to learn about the storage services of AWS. So we have Amazon S3, Amazon Glacier, and Amazon EBS. So so with Amazon S3 Simple Storage Service, that's what S3 stands for. It's Simple Storage Service. So S3 is an object storage that can store and retrieve data from anywhere, uh, mobile applications, IoT sensors, websites. It's super durable, and it provides comprehensive security and flexibility in managing data. So within S3, you'll hear a lot of people say that it stores data as objects within buckets. So an object is basically just a file and any metadata that describes the file. A bucket is a container for objects. Any questions so far? Okay, next we have Amazon Glacier. And Amazon Glacier is exactly what you think it is. It reminds you of a glacier. It just sits there and it's pretty much like a backup solution. So Amazon Glacier is a cloud storage service that is used for archiving data and long-term backup. The Glacier is used for, oh, sorry, it's just long-term backup and archiving. And it also has different features and other services connected to it as well. So that's Amazon Glacier briefly. And next up we have Amazon EBS, and EBS stands for Elastic Block Store. So Amazon Elastic Block Store provides block storage volumes for instances of Amazon EC2. EBS is a reliable storage volume that can be attached to pretty much any running instance that is in the same availability zone. And an availability zone is basically a data center. That's what AWS calls it. They call availability zones data centers. Okay. And this should be the last. This should be the last section for networking, well, for services. Sorry. So in networking, you have Amazon Route 53, Elastic Load Balancing, and Amazon VPC. So Amazon Route 53 is pretty much a scalable DNS web service to route end users to applications. So it translates domain names into IP addresses. So you have example.com translating into an IP address and vice versa. So it's pretty simple service, pretty useful service as well. So okay, and here we have Amazon VPC, and VPC stands for virtual private cloud. So Amazon VPC enables you to connect your own premise resources to AWS infrastructure through a virtual private network. And the network, it closely resembles like your traditional network that you would operate in your data center, but it allows you to leverage the scalable infrastructure in AWS. So each VPC that you create is logically isolated from other virtual networks in the AWS cloud. I always think of it as sort of like a neighborhood. So you have the Amazon neighborhood, and then you have like the cookie cutter houses, and those separations pretty much represent a VPC. So, so here we have like a demonstration of a VPC. So right here you have two separate VPCs being connected by a private link, and we can save those topics for another day because it's a lot. So right there you just have the service consumer and the service provider, and they're different VPCs, and and they're within what's called a region in AWS, and a region is basically a geographic location, a large geographic location that AWS operates that is comprised of availability zones, which are data centers. Okay. So right here, as I reiterate, a lot of companies, a lot of people are drawn to AWS for save because you could save a lot of money. It's very user friendly, so there's no such thing as long term commitments for anything you would like to purchase. Um, and like I said earlier, it offers billing and management and quick launch or removal of your application in any location with a few clicks. There's no need to pay extra money on running data servers by AWS, and they offer a total ownership cost at very reasonable rates in comparison to other private cloud providers. So let's see. Okay, and this portion of the presentation is pretty much open floor. So here we'll just open the floor to questions for questions about career trends, uh, career growth, different job titles, um, and any other questions you had during the presentation. Um, so it's pretty much an open floor.
Yeah, so do you all have particular job titles that you've looked at that you're interested in? You turn your microphone on to talk.
I know for me, when I first started, I had no idea about the different job titles. I pretty much just went after certifications and just kind of went from there. And I looked up different job titles that I was interested in. So you basically start out as a cloud engineer or a cloud admin or something like that. You venture off into the cloud. So a cloud engineer is basically doing all the tweaking and deployment of services, all the different configuring and stuff like that. So um, it's kind of like an entry level to mid level uh, job. So yeah. And
Yeah,
you can eventually move on to a cloud architect, and you basically sit with people, um, meet with people, talk with people, and help them design a cloud architecture. But it's
So
pretty cool.
Michael,
I'm sorry, Jeremy. What was?
well, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, listen to this, we can see that AWS does look to me less expensive than Azure because I work in Azure a lot and it is really
Right.
expensive because, they charge whether you're using things or not sometimes, like with virtual machines that I put in the chat. And I'm working on the SC200. I'm going to take that exam on February 4th to take it's Azure SC200 security operations exam. And I mostly work with Microsoft and teach Azure and Power Apps, Power BI. And so, Michael, can you tell us too, what else are you working on with the cybersecurity and cloud?
Yeah. So security is one of those things that are always going to be around. So I've always been passionate about security. So I always try to keep my career aimed towards just that. So even in I think I had like you have AI and blockchain and all of these different things going on like over the next uh, 3 to 5 years. They're growing at a fast rate. So like anything, they're gonna need security. Um, so I try to keep my career more aligned towards security and um, and helping people build secure solutions. So right now I'm still studying for one of my one of my certifications. It's called the AWS Solutions Architect Professional, and it's just a level up from the AWS Solutions Architect Associate. So you have they have a lot of different certifications out there for AWS. Uh, but yeah, I hope that answers your question. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, and I'm also like I was telling Jeremy, I was looking more towards teaching, making an online course to help beginners and newcomers or career transitioners learn cloud technology or get certified. So that's pretty much what I'm aiming to do now because I like working with people. I know it may not sound like I sound kind of nervous because I'm used to speaking to people in person, so uh, to kind of vibe the room out. But that's where my passion lies is teaching people, working with people, and pretty much helping beginners because I remember how it was first starting out, and it was pretty rough. So so what I see a question right here. What does a day in your life look like, work wise? I mean, so my current job, I got hired on as a security architect, but they're also making me do engineer work. So I sit down with people in meetings most days, and they say, "Hey, I'm trying to go from doing the old way to the new way. So I'm trying to take all this hardware and basically virtualize it." So I sit with them and I draw up a solution, and I'm like, "Hey, this is what you would need to do to migrate to the cloud or deploy one of your applications to the cloud based off my experience and based off the knowledge that I've learned from going through AWS and taking some of the certifications. I'm like, hey, you can use this service, or design it in this way so it's more secure and you're saving money and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I also do the engineering side to where I have to configure things sometimes within AWS, or I have to tweak things, different services. So that's pretty much what my day to day looks like. So every other day is with sitting down with people and talking to them in meetings and stuff like that. If you don't like sitting behind a computer, I highly suggest venturing off into becoming an architect, like a solutions architect or something of that nature. If you like working with people and stuff. I hope that answers the question. Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Michael, do you have any other tips on, because I posted in a chat ways that I found to use AWS for free, which is really nice, and also up above to create a free AWS account and the free founders account, which provides you free Amazon credits, AWS credits to use. Do you have any other tips on for everyone to learn more specifically in AWS?
I would say that a company that I learned from was a cloud guru. I really love the way that they structure their learning. Yeah, I'll put it in the chat really quickly. So a cloud guru, I'm a huge fan of their work. Uh, they make it really they make the content very digestible. They also have different labs that you could do while you're going through your career path, learning and taking certifications. So that's pretty much how I would tackle it if I'm just starting out. Um, that's actually what I did, and it's a pretty good resource. Um, and also what Jeremy was just saying about the free AWS account. You can do that as well and go in and poke around and launch an EC2 instance, virtual machine, or you can do things like that. It's very user friendly, and it's not so difficult to catch on at all. So yeah. Anybody have any other kind of questions or remarks or anything like that? You guys keeping up with blockchain, cryptocurrency, AI, or anything like that? I know cloud and AI and cryptocurrency, all those are projected to grow a lot over the next 3 to 5 years. So um, I think it'd be good to pick up a few skills there. So my boot camp experience was it was actually it was a hacking boot camp, so I didn't really have to code that much. So it was kind of rough at first because um, the place I went through, they were kind of just starting, so it was a little rocky at first, but eventually I found my way, and I had to use outside resources sometimes, but it was a great experience because it gave me self initiative, especially, and kind of just had to think outside of the box and survive. So it was a humbling experience. I come from an electrical engineering background, so I'm used to things being the same for 20, 30 years. I'm used to math formulas not changing. And I come over to IT, cloud, and everything changes every day. So it was definitely challenging to me. But the boot camp was it was pretty challenging at first. But I was able to knock out a few certifications and land a job and connect with different people, good people. So yeah.
And Michael, do you have any more tips on networking and just getting into the job market in AWS too?
Oh, of course, of course. I would say meetups are very good. Um, if you're not wanting to go out and stuff like that, um, LinkedIn LinkedIn is a very good resource. So I know whenever I first started off, I would just get on LinkedIn and spam and add people, add people, add people. And the way that I would add people is by like if I wanted to be a solutions architect, I would add people that were solutions architects, or if I wanted to be a cloud engineer, I would search up people that were cloud engineers at my favorite companies, and I would reach out to them and ask them for advice on how to get into the career, or I would ask them, sorry, I would ask them for a referral or something like that, and that's pretty much how I would That's how I networked. I still network like that as well, but face to face is also very good. I found out about Jeremy face to face through somebody else. They actually referred me, so network, good old word to mouth is always good, and he's been helpful with everything. So I would say I would say LinkedIn is pretty good, and word to mouth is pretty good. Strategies for finding a job through LinkedIn is kind of challenging sometimes. So if you can, you could try to get like the premium version of LinkedIn, so you could reach out to whoever you want and uh, just look at different statistics. But if you can't get it, um, just try your best to reach out to people. I know it sounds cliche, but it actually does work. Just like reaching out to people, reaching out to recruiters at different companies. It's it's definitely an art to it if you're looking to like get into cloud computing or just get a job. It's you can use tactics like that. Search up a company and search up the recruiters at the company and reach out to them. So I hope that helps out. Anybody have any other remarks or input or questions they want to ask? I still have time, so
Yeah,
I
and
really do appreciate everybody joining the event today. Thank you, Jeremy, for having me today.
yeah,
So I
thank you,
really
Michael. Yeah, and if you all want to, if you have any last questions, you're welcome to ask. And again, you can put in the chat if there's other topics you'd like to learn or further learning on AWS. Welcome to ask that now. Put that in the chat.
yeah, I think you guys should go for it.
Yeah, and
Oh,
we'll
thank
put
you
this
so
on
much.
YouTube again so you rewatch it. And just yeah, keep in contact with us and to follow on. I'll put my YouTube. I'll put the YouTube channel in a chat here.
Okay, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions on anything. You guys can add me on LinkedIn. and reach out to me on there. I'm open book. I'll give you my honest opinion and things of that nature. So. But
Yeah,
thank
I'm
you
just
for everything.
looking. Yeah, no problem. I'm just looking. If you all wait a second here, but before we lose the chat, I'll put in the YouTube so that way you all can find it easily here. Let me just bring that up for you. Well, I'll email that to all of you. So yeah, thanks again, Michael, for your time. Appreciate the discussion here on AWS, and everyone, yeah, keep learning and keep networking, keep learning. I hope to see you all again soon.
Thanks for having me, Jeremy. Thank you for everybody. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you.
See you.